Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we love talking about social media trends and all sorts of opportunities for you to leverage social media to grow personally and professionally. We're here with our Director of Digital Media, the man that does all of our social media and storytelling with City Current and even Lipscomb and Pitts, a Higginbotham partner, Andrew Bartolotta. So Andrew, how are you doing?
Doing well.
So on your end, before we dive into the trends for 2022, because there's a lot, and you've put together a whole white paper on some of the thoughts and just kind of where we're headed with this, let's look backward because we're still early on in 2021 or 2022. Give us a little bit of perspective on 2021 in terms of what got your attention. What were some of the major lessons coming out of 2021?
So I would say that 2021 was definitely a year. We had a year of the pandemic in our belt. And so a lot of us are still working from home or finding that groove remotely or working with new technology. So I think leveraging some of those new technologies to enhance social media, whether for your business or nonprofit or even for personal branding, was a hot topic in 2021, utilizing tools like Instagram Reels, which really set a foot into the social media platforms part of Instagram and Facebook's Meta platform. And so we saw TikTok users have almost over 1 billion users a month. And so TikTok was all the rage for sure. And I think with that is a lot of creativity and influencer marketing as well.
On your end, you're doing a lot of workshops around leveraging social media, your digital brand, your personal brand online to help grow and network. And that's personally, that's professionally for your company, but it's also too for nonprofits. Give us a little bit of perspective. When you look at your personal brand online, what are some of the things that you look at in terms of if you're looking at not only yourself, but for others, what are the things that you're looking at and paying attention when it comes to your personal brand online?
I would say being authentic is key and being transparent as well. You always have to walk the tightrope of what's too much oversharing, what's undersharing where people don't even feel like they know you at all. But I think there's a sweet spot there. And I think that's something that I definitely played with in 2021 with a lot of different family things going on. And so for me personally, personal branding has really been the key to my career success, if you will. And so personal branding is a huge part still to this day, even a decade into social media. I think utilizing tools, scheduling tools, creative graphic design tools like Canva really help create your toolkit for your personal branding and help people understand who you are as a person, your values, and even your design aesthetic.
I know that for us, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, those are kind of the primary vehicles when it comes to social media and leveraging. But as you mentioned, TikTok is exploding. What are some of the websites? What are some of the social media platforms that still have your attention, especially when it comes to the personal branding and the business application?
Yeah, I definitely think that LinkedIn is going to be a huge part of this year coming in. One of the statistics that I came across that I thought was just fascinating is that only 3 million users out of the 740 plus million users on LinkedIn actually share content on the site weekly. So you've got a huge opportunity to really stand out amongst the crowd. And you've got a great crowd on LinkedIn. You have those senior professionals, you have entrepreneurs, you have people that may donate to your nonprofit, sit on your board, acquire your business. So there's a lot of ways that you can utilize LinkedIn from a professional standpoint, but also to really stand out in your field as a personal branding tool.
Let's go ahead and dive in because you've got, as I mentioned, a white paper that you've done on the 5 social trends that will be huge in 2022. So looking ahead for this year, let's go ahead and dive in. And the number one is the creator economy will boom even bigger. And so dive into what you mean when you talk about the creator economy. What does that mean? And talk about the boom.
Yeah, so that is worth over $100 billion. And it's platforms like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. They all are creating these specialized tools within their website to help creators have marketplaces and ways for these individuals to connect with their audiences, collaborate with brands, which is a huge thing that really came out of 2021 and that we'll see in 2022 as well. And then respond to their digital communities. And so as social media platforms really move more into the social e-commerce space, which we'll talk about in trend number 2, it makes sense to really invest in influencers who are driving engagement and promoting products. And so a lot of times when people think of social media influencers, they think of the Kardashians or maybe their favorite sales mastermind who has millions of followers, and you feel like you're kind of out of touch with them because you're like, there's no way I could get these millions of followers. But really what we're finding is, as we dive into these affiliate marketings and social influencers, is that nano and micro influencers are really the great sweet spot for brands, both small, mid-size, and large brands, to connect with. And when I'm talking about nano and micro influencers, I'm talking about the numbers. Like nano would be under 10,000 followers, and then micro influencers would be anywhere between 10,000 to 100,000 followers, which was really cool because like with Instagram Reels, I found out about a creator bonus program. And so for the month of December, our son was born. And so I was trying to find ways to share it with our family and be creative about it. And really, sometimes I selfishly use it to help find tools that we can use at City Current. And so Instagram Reels was really cool. In their bonus program, they actually sent me a PayPal of $150 for all of the views from different reels that I did over the month of December. So you're talking about $150 for me using their platform. I would have done it for free, but it's even better when they pay you for it.
When you talk about the creator economy, I think that is an interesting shift in the sense that we're all creatives, we're all creators, and social media. And you kind of mentioned it when you're looking at a personal brand, it's the storytelling aspect, but it's doing it in a creative way. And I think for brands and individuals, for nonprofits, and even government entities, it's now, how can I get my content across, but do it in a creative way? And I think, and I know we'll talk about some of the different tools and resources like Canva and some of those that allow you to do it more easily. But I think it's forcing the hand in an interesting way where it's like, even with TikTok, well, I can't dance, but how can I apply it for a business application? And you're starting to see businesses monetize TikTok being creative. And I think it's all about creativity. How do you engage? How do you have a conversation, but do it in a way that's very much like an art form? And I think that can be intimidating, but it can also be exciting. Where do you fall on that of kind of pushing the boundaries of creativity and yet content?
I love coloring outside the lines, and I love to look at, especially when we're talking about city current and even the insurance side, looking at different industries that are using technology to really just have fun, but also get their messaging across. And so for utilizing things like Instagram Reels, I haven't gotten into TikTok personally, but Instagram Reels is really the Instagram version. And you see massive engagement rates using Reels as instead of using just regular posts or long form video. And so I love being able to, when I'm scrolling, as we all doom scroll through social media for hours at a time per day, we find ourselves looking at some of the content thinking that's really cool. And maybe you're not the dancer, but that song is trending on Instagram Reels or TikTok. And you're like, how can I utilize that for a business? And maybe I have a restaurant or a coffee shop and I can utilize that to show my my upcoming specials, or I own a home goods store and I can show how you can update a room using $100 or less. There's like really creative ways that you can look at these reels and pick them for your personal brand or your business to help find creative ways to share your products or services.
For those who aren't familiar, what is Instagram Reels?
So Instagram Reels is, like I said, really Instagram's version of TikTok. And so it's about 60 seconds or less, I believe. It might be 90 seconds, but 60 seconds or less. And there's trending music, and you can add text, you can add filters, you can add different sort of attention grabbing changes within the way the images in the video transition. And so I posted these 5 trends that I'm talking about 2 hours before we did this interview, just the list of the 5. I didn't give any more detail than that. And I wanted to see how many views I'd got before we got on this interview. And I had 2,000 views just from that.
Wow.
And it's just, it's crazy how much more engagement you can get using Instagram Reels. And you've got, I never thought I'd be the person that would, point to the magic air cloud of text that's saying what's going on. But it really does grab people's attention. And if that's how we can get messaging across, why don't we try it?
Absolutely. Well, let's bounce to number 2, more streamlined social commerce. You mentioned the e-commerce, so dive in.
Yeah, I think this really, social media has really become like a virtual mall of sorts into the palm of our hands. And you see that we can browse products, find inspiration, and really purchase within a few clicks. I think that the pandemic really spearheaded this because people were secluded, staying at home, social distancing. And so buying online has become huge. Like I see my Instacart grocery shopper way more than I see my friends, but that's okay because I'm not having to go and expose myself at the grocery store, still get all of the great things that I want from Kroger directly shipped to my house, where I can pull up and do the great Kroger click list. And so utilizing technology and social commerce is going to be huge. 60% of Gen Zers in the US are using Instagram to discover new brands and products. And what's really cool is now you have these creators that are in their early 20s that are creating jewelry and really great pieces of art that used to have to go and spend thousands of dollars on marketing and advertisement and going to different places, different festivals. And now they can sell it straight on Instagram, and they're making thousands of dollars. So it's really cool that we can now shop with a few clicks.
And you're making it easy in the sense that, to your point, you can be an entrepreneur, but you can control your own destiny. You can create your own audience and sell it directly. And so I think, for businesses, once again, it opens up, okay, for brick and mortar, I've got the access where they come in, but now I have an easier access where I can engage directly and monetize it in different ways. And then even going back to your Instagram Reels, monetizing the content that you're creating and the audience you have, and using influencers to be able to, whether it's affiliate marketing or kind of pushing it through their audience, you can monetize all these different layers now that come back to drive ROI using social media. So there's a true ROI and engagement and monetization that is enabling really powerful results. Let's bounce to number 3. Short form vertical video is here to stay. And that kind of ties to what we're talking about too.
Yeah, when we talk about TikTok, Instagram Reels, it's not only an engaging form of storytelling, but it's also a way to drive sales. And it's a major growth hack because videos on Instagram are getting way more engagement than any other formats, which is what I was talking about as far as the 5 tools that I gave on my Instagram Reel today with 2,000 views. Tweets with video generate 10 times more engagement than those without. So these short form vertical video, they are here to stay, like you said, and they're a great way for people to connect with an audience on a deeper level, spotlight products, even do testimonials, whether you're a nonprofit or you have customers that are willing when they come in to talk about a product. There's a tool that I have here for those that are watching the video, this little gimbal that is less than $200 that comes with a tripod stand, and you can do professional type videos with your phone now, that we're finding that the phone is just as great as or if not greater than some of the digital cameras that we invested in a couple of years ago. And so having these vertical videos that fit on all the social programs or platforms are really a way to share what you're doing in a short, concise way.
Yeah. And I know one of our partners, Mid-South Chiropractic, we do a lot with them. And we were talking to them about if you create a little bit of an editorial calendar in the sense that you can do testimonial Tuesdays, you can do, each day can have a different thread. So you can spotlight your employees, you can do a tip, a wellness tip, and then all of a sudden you have a testimonial. If you think and plan out, you have endless content that you can create all in these short form, either videos or pictures that give you structure and process to make it really easy to then kind of push forward and create this.
Yeah. And really, before we go to number 4, I do want to say that a tip that I learned about while researching is that over almost 500 million people in the world are deaf or hard of hearing. And so, and 85% of people that are watching videos on Facebook, they're doing it without sound. So consider captioning your video, even if it's short form, so that you're able to have subtitles for those people that maybe not being able to hear it or that are scrolling without sound. So they're more accessible to people.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Number 4, an emphasis on mental health and burnout prevention, which obviously makes sense going through the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, there was a statistic that 90% of creators have experienced burnout, and 71% of them consider quitting social media altogether. And everyone can relate to this after the past 2 years that we've been through. We feel overwhelmed. There's this great resignation happening. There's the future of work, but really it's the present of work, because these articles beforehand that were talking about the future of work in 2030 are now really what the future of work is now. And so there's a lot of things taking place and it can feel very overwhelming. But the cool thing is we have platforms like Instagram who are debuting this take a break feature, which is really monumental for a social media platform to say, hey, listen, take a break, come back to Instagram later. We notice you've been on here a long time. It's also great for younger kids. We know that audiences, our children have social media profiles way before we were able to even have social media profiles because they didn't exist then. And so they are going to provide expert-backed tips on ways you can have a great mental break, like listening to your favorite song. You've got apps like Calm. So I think this like burnout prevention, mental health resources, I'm curious to see where it goes in 2022. Some tips I would have for businesses or nonprofits is to share maybe some of your best tips. Talk about the ways that you relax, show those things. Maybe you have a product or a service that helps people with their behavioral health or prevents burnout. Maybe it's a candle, maybe it's a nice dish at a brunch place. I mean, it really runs the gamut. Anything that you have in your industry, you can sort of tool to where people can benefit from to help with their mental health and prevent burnout.
And I've also seen a big trend toward just people being honest. And I think social media before was a little bit of a facade where people, put on I'm flying private jets and everything is luxury. And they put on this kind of air of massive success and opulence. And in reality, now we're starting to see people put out, hey, I'm struggling. Hey, this is a real challenge I'm, working through. Hey, pray for me over here. Hey. So I think you're starting to see realism kind of stepping in and now taking over, which I think is a good thing because the honesty, the transparency is really creating a lot more stronger relationships versus kind of a pseudo reality.
Yes. Yeah. People are even posting things without filters. And so that's like this new thing happening in 2022 where they're not sort of having this fake makeup on and pretending to be someone they're not. And I think that's great for who we are as a society to just say, hey, I'm showing up as I am, both in person and online.
Yeah. Yeah. Number 5, rise of the LinkedIn influencer. So LinkedIn leveraging kind of back to one of your points before, but the power of LinkedIn, and especially when you talk about your personal and professional brand individually, talk about LinkedIn.
I've always been, as you know, a fan of LinkedIn, but I really just see it continue to grow, especially in 2022. We have this term linked influencer, which really is what we're seeing where ordinary people are sharing their work hacks, their remote work tips, their resources to find jobs in this weird economy that we are in. And they're getting thousands of likes and views, and they're just normal people sharing their stuff. So going back to being transparent, I think that, the shift to work from home culture made many people realize the importance of creating this memorable personal brand, whether they even intended to or not. And so LinkedIn is a great way to really create visibility and showcase your thought leadership to your broader network.
I realize this is a loaded question for you as our, director of digital media for City Current, but when you look at a person and then as a brand, what's your recommendation on how much time should they be spending on social media?
Yeah, one thing I like to do is set a timer. And so I'll set a 15-minute timer and I'll scroll through Instagram and find tips or resources or reels that I would like to replicate in a way that would fit a certain brand or company that I'm working with. I think it's really funny because about a decade ago, I worked at a college and social media was banned for students on campus. And even in the workplace, when I started, it was frowned upon to even use social media or even say where you worked. And now we're using it as a tool to help recruit, show the workplace culture, which is huge for gaining great talent for your company. So I definitely think both as a personal brand tool, but also to help your company, to represent your company, spend 10, 15 minutes at least a week, if not a day, to just scroll through, like things as your company or those, find resources that can help your company grow, and then comment, because social media wasn't meant to be a monologue, it's meant to be a dialogue. So having those conversations help you stand apart from the others.
Yeah, and I think there's a big difference too in just browsing, kind of as a relaxation or a mind numbing tool, just browsing through and looking versus, like you say, using it as a real comparison tool. What are the things that I want to use kind of as creative muses? What inspires me? How can we tie some of these in and kind of take some of the best of? And so really coming at it from a business application and going down that road. And then two, just I think there's basic blocking and tackling. I mean, my wife is very good at using Facebook and commenting for birthdays and, reaching out for special moments, and people love that. And for them, it's a relationship strengthening tool that I think sometimes gets overlooked. I'm not as good. I just go on real fast and, kind of, so even on mine, I have, to learn how to leverage social media in an even better way. But I think it's a powerful tool. And if you leverage it the right way, it can lead to really great results. Wrap up with just words of encouragement. I know Canva is a big tool that you use. What are some kind of, tips, words of encouragement that you would throw out there as we wrap up?
Yes, I would say 3 tools or resources that I'm loving in 2022 so far. One of them is Story Prompt, which is by the founder of Sendable, who started this tool to help have video reviews for people's products. So that just launched. And so I'm interested in seeing how we can use it here at City Current, but also, share that as a tool. So Story Prompt. One thing that I know that you love too is Linktree. And it's a great way to just have one centralized micro website of all the links and resources for maybe products you like, shows, different things to share with your community. So Linktree, I have a free account and it does everything that I need it to. And then lastly, Canva. You can even schedule social media posts on Canva, use it for your personal brand, use it for your kids' birthday party invitations, use it for anything, use it for work. Canva is such a great tool. And it's continuing to help people share great graphics without having to go to design school.
Yeah, about to say it can make all of us graphic designers, which is awesome. So love it. Wrap up on your end with where to follow you on social media. Where do we go to learn more about your storytelling with City Current and all the good you do there to power the good with City Current? But where do we go? Give us all the websites and social media resources.
Absolutely. I have a few upcoming workshops, both in person and online. By the time you watch this, there'll definitely still be more to come. So Andrew JPG on social media, at City Current, as well across our social channels. Check us out. Let us know any of the tools that you're struggling with, or maybe some trends that you're noticing. We would love to connect with you and help that conversation.
Yeah. Well, Andrew, greatly appreciate everything you're doing to help us power the good. You do it personally, you do it professionally, you do it all over. So you are an amazing catalyst and leader yourself. But thank you for being a part of the City Current team. Thank you for being a part of the show.
Thank you for having me.